Have you ever listed an item and then checked on it within just a couple of weeks to see what kind of views you had, watchers, and ask yourself why it wasn't selling? If you have, chances are you have an unrealistic expectation of how long items actually take to sell. And this is one of the biggest frustrations that I see in the reseller community. So today I want to do a quick visual breakdown of exactly how you can know how long items take to sell, how they impact your business, and looking at it with a realistic perspective so you're no longer frustrated. I want to start by explaining what happens to your money when you invest it in an item and you're waiting for it to sell. This is going to seem like such a basic topic to you, but it is a way that resellers don't think about their money, and they should. And it is cash flow. Whenever you invest money into an item, even just one, that is your cash flow in a deficit because that item has taken up money that you've invested and you don't get that cash flow back. Cash flow meaning money that is available for you to spend, whether that is to reinvest back into more inventory or pay yourself, put in your pocket, pay for supplies, whatever it is, but money that's available to you, that money is then tied up and not available to you until that item sells. So if I buy an item for $5, that $5 is tied up until the item sells. Now, depending on the sell-through rate of that item and how you list it is going to determine how quickly it sells and how quickly you get that $5 back. So let's say I pick up an item and month one, it does not sell. My cash flow, if we're strictly speaking about that one item, which I understand we've got a lot more items to deal with, but let's just look at one today for simplicity. Month one, we're in the hole. -$5 is our cash flow in regards to this one item. If it doesn't sell in month two, my cash flow is still -$5. In month three, my cash flow is still -$5. If the item finally sells in, let's say, month four, then I get my $5 back plus whatever I make off of that item. So let's say I had a profit of $15 plus my initial investment of $5. That's going to give us a positive $20 cash flow for that one item. Now let's talk about how long items actually take to sell. And in order to do that, I need to talk to you about sell-through rate. I know that most resellers in the community do not check sell-through rate on their items when they're doing comps. They only look at hitting that sold filter and looking at how much items are selling for. And as long as there are a couple of things selling for a decent amount, you think that your item should sell for that much. But even if you don't focus on a high sell-through rate model, sell-through rate is still so important for the reason I'm going to show you, which is it's tying up your cash flow. So my goal is to sell items within 90 days or less, meaning when I do my comps on eBay, which is where I do all of my comps, even on, Poshmark, Depop, occasionally I'll look at other places, but I'm mostly using manual searches on eBay's platform to check sell-through rates and the average sale price. So when I'm doing that, eBay is showing me a sell-through rate percentage within 90 days. That is the data frame that they're showing. Listen, I know a lot of you are going to come on and say, well, there's different ways to calculate sell-through rate, and that's not how I do it. This is how most people do it in the reseller community. And this is, in my opinion, the easiest way to do it. And this is the one that has worked the best for me. So if you like a more complicated method of checking sell-through rate, then do that. But this is how myself and most resellers in the community evaluate sell-through rate. So sell-through rate is number sold divided by number available. And then on eBay, that's within 90 days. So if I do a comp for, let's say, Vuori joggers, and I'm making up numbers here, but let's say that there are 230 sold over, let's say, 246 available, then that's about a 100% sell-through rate. I do not deal in exact numbers. As long as it's close, that's what I'm aiming for. So that is about a 100% sell-through rate within 90 days. And this part is so important, within 90 days. So if I'm looking at this just very plainly, this many items sold with this many items on average being available within a 90-day period, which means when I purchase an item close to a 100% sell-through rate, I should not expect that item to sell until 3 months later. And yet, most resellers are not picking up 100% sell-through rate items, and they're expecting their items to sell within just a couple of weeks. This is why it isn't selling. If you're not here, you can't expect it to sell within 90 days. There are lots of variables and factors that can change the sell-through rate of items, such as listing it with the correct keywords, making sure you have good pricing. But in general, if you do the average that most people do, and you're within market value, your item with this kind of demand that is well researched, using data and numbers, should sell in about 90 days. Which means for our cash flow example, we would be -5, -5, and then this would actually be +20 in month 3. Now, what happens if we're not getting items at a 100% sell-through rate within 90 days? Or what if we are getting those, but we're not pricing within market, we're not listing appropriately, we're not doing at least the average of what everybody else is doing? Well, your sell-through rate's going to be much lower. In most cases, I see resellers picking up items that are much less than 100% sell-through rate. Totally fine if that's your business model, but if you're expecting items to sell quickly, you can't really have both. And so having a realistic understanding of how long items take to sell, how that ties up your cash flow, and how you're able to grow using positive or negative cash flow is going to really help you understand a better, more realistic strategy and maybe some areas where you need to pivot. So in this same example, let's say I look up, I don't even know, I gotta make something up. Let's say it is a J. Crew linen button-down shirt. I put all of the factors in and the size, and I come out with 50 sold out of 100 available. That's going to give me a 50% sell-through rate within 90 days. Again, this is not an exact science, but this is how I realistically look at items with a 50% sell-through rate. If I list them according to the average that everybody else is, meaning within market, meaning the average of what most of them are selling for with the factor, sizes, condition, everything that I have, and I'm getting clean data, then I would not expect this item to sell for 6 months. Because this is a 0.5% chance of 90 days, therefore doubling how long it's probably going to take for that item to sell. So in this example, it takes 3 months. Here, it's going to take us about 6 months. I personally, as a coach in the reselling community, do not recommend picking up anything with less than a 50% sell-through rate. I am talking about brand-based sell-through rate items. Style-based stuff is a completely different story. So in this example, instead of our cash flow coming back and giving us more money to reinvest into our business in the 3rd month, this is what it would look like with the 6-month time period. -5, -5, plus $20 in the 6th month, which means that I'm not going to be able to reinvest the money from that one item and grow my business until 3 months later. These decisions that you're making in your business for your business model and your sourcing constitution make a huge impact on how quickly you're able to grow, what your cash flow is like. If you're feeling broke, it's probably because you don't have a steady stream of cash flow because of one of these reasons. Sell-through rate is just one of them. Now, of course, there are ways to increase the sell-through rate of your item. Instead of pricing within market, you could price slightly below market to be more competitive, and that's going to increase the sell-through rate. However, no amount of dropping price or having better keywords than everybody else is going to change typically a less than a 50% sell-through rate within 90-day item. The demand at that point is typically too low to get that item to move, and then it becomes a style-based item. If we go less than 50% sell-through rate, let's say you're more at a 25% sell-through rate, that's going to look like 9 months for that item to sell, which means your cash flow for that one item is tied up for almost a year. Now, remember, this is just one item we're looking at. Most resellers are listing more than one item every single week. So if you're listing 5 items a day, 10 items a day, and you've got this problem of items not selling because of what the data tells you for almost a year, imagine how much cash flow you have tied up in inventory. All right, you guys, I hope this was a great visual example for you. We moved our whiteboard in the office, and I plan to do many more breakdowns visually with math. I always say that reaching your reselling goals, or really any goal you have, is simply a math problem. And I think that there is so much educational content surrounding math and formulas and looking at the numbers ahead of time to know how it's going to impact your business. I think that we have a big deficit in education around that area. So my goal for 2026 is to do more stuff like this with you so you can plan out your business, know exactly what's going to happen, and have a good solid foundation, and no longer be frustrated because you think an item should sell in 2 weeks when it's probably not going to happen. Let me know if you guys like these, I'm going to call them whiteboard videos. And also, what other things would you like me to map out on this whiteboard so that we can break down the numbers? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.